Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the science and the culture of the Indian vegetarian diet to figure out how we can effortlessly supercharge our daily meals. Okay, let's just get right into it, because honestly, protein currently has a massive image problem, and we really need to fix it. 80%. That's a staggering number, right? 80% of Indians are simply not getting enough protein in their daily diets. Now, you might immediately think, well, this has to be purely an issue of poverty or food access. But the data tells a completely different story. This is a deficit that affects both the rich and the poor alike. Even when money is absolutely no object, the default traditional Indian diet just doesn't feature much protein. In the West, the undisputed star of a meal is usually the protein. But in India, the undisputed star of the plate is carbohydrates. So, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover the Indian protein deficit, cultural myths versus science, the Dal misconception, ranking vegetarian proteins, 5 simple traditional tweaks, and finally, a sample daily menu. Let's jump right into section 1, the Indian protein deficit. How exactly did we get here? Well, a few distinct historical forces have collectively pushed protein right off the center of the traditional thali. First, going back centuries, there's always been a strong cultural bias against meat. Only in India do we broadly categorize food into pure veg and non-veg, sometimes even avoiding restaurants altogether if they serve both. And while people should absolutely eat according to their cultural and personal choices, this norm means the most convenient high-quality animal protein is often culturally sidelined. Then, during British rule, colonial mismanagement of food security heavily shifted our agricultural focus toward grains, like wheat and rice. Ironically, we now consider those really heavy grain-based diets to be traditional. Finally, in the modern day, while dairy is a primary source of animal protein for many, lactose intolerance is incredibly common. It ranges from about 70% tolerance in the North and West to a staggering 70% intolerance in the South and East. People simply don't want an upset stomach, which just further limits their daily protein intake. Moving on to section 2, cultural myths versus science. We have to tackle a massive viral myth pushed by influencers, which is that whey protein is somehow an unnatural, dangerous supplement. Let's just look at the actual science for a second. If you take milk and you process it using churning and heat to remove the water and the protein, you get ghee. And culturally, we consider ghee to be an absolute superfood. Well, if you use a similar process on milk to remove the fat instead, you get whey protein. If we consider ghee completely safe and healthy, there is literally no reason to fear whey protein. It is just another safe, simple derivative of milk. Unless your doctor has specifically put you on a low-protein diet, whey protein is incredibly safe. And for the guys watching, let's firmly debunk a really persistent misconception. You've probably heard that eating soy will increase your estrogen and make you feminine. This is completely false. Soy is an incredibly effective, highly nutritious, plant-based protein source, and it has absolutely zero feminizing effects on your body. It's only going to help keep you healthy. Now, I want to speak directly to the women watching. We need to talk about this dangerous nonsense quote that you've likely heard from influencers or maybe even from well-meaning relatives. Eating too much protein will make women look muscular and manly. The fear that eating protein automatically turns you into a bodybuilder is one of the most pervasive myths out there. And honestly, it really doesn't help that most protein powder containers feature massive muscular gym bros right on the label. But here is the pure biological fact. Adding visible, bulky muscle requires very high levels of testosterone, which women naturally do not have, and intense, heavy weightlifting. Heck, most Indian men even struggle to put on muscle. So the crucial takeaway here is that without those specific factors, adding protein will absolutely not make you look manly. Instead, it is practically the single greatest, cheapest health intervention you can make. It'll massively increase your quality of life, support your bone health as you age, and give you much more consistent energy. Okay, let's shift to section 3. The Dal misconception. We need to talk about the biggest elephant in the vegetarian kitchen. I want you to think of dal like a car's main fuel tank, which provides energy-rich carbohydrates with just a tiny reserve battery for protein. The reality is the vast majority of calories in lentils, whether we're talking chana, rajma, urad, or mung, come from carbohydrates, not protein. Now, complex carbs are excellent for your gut health, don't get me wrong, but we have to be scientifically accurate when we're planning our meals. And it gets a bit more complicated. Not only is dal mostly carbs, but that small amount of protein it does have, It's what we call an incomplete protein. That means it doesn't contain all the essential amino acids in the exact proportions our bodies need. To make it complete, we have to mix it with grains, like rice or chapati. That's why we eat puri chole or rajma chawal. Unfortunately, while that does complete the protein profile, it just dumps a massive amount of additional carbohydrates onto the meal. So, where should we get our protein? Let's check out Section 4, Ranking Vegetarian Proteins. Let's build out a real dietary toolkit. At the top tier, whey and plant powders like soy or pea deliver the absolute highest protein density without excess fat. And unsweetened powders are incredibly versatile because you can literally cook with them. Down in the middle tier, we have tofu and paneer. They're good, but just be aware of the math. Tofu is mostly water, and paneer's calories are actually about 70% fat. Finally, in the bottom tier, we have nuts and seeds. They are super healthy, for sure, but again, most of their calories come from fats, not protein. So if you're relying entirely on almonds to hit your protein goals, you're going to overconsume fat very quickly. Which brings us to the really fun part, Section 5. 5 simple traditional tweaks. Look at how easy this actually is for your mornings. For tweak 1, you can simply strain your regular dahi in a cheesecloth to remove the water, leaving you with a thick, delicious, high-protein hung curd. Or just mix unflavored plant powder right into it for a high-protein raita. For tweak 2, just grate tofu or mix unflavored protein powder directly into your dosa, idli, or chila batters. Think about it. You're essentially doubling the protein of your traditional breakfast with absolutely zero change to the taste or the cooking process. It's brilliant. Now, let's upgrade lunch and dinner. For tweak 3, keep in mind normal wheat only has about 10 to 12% protein, but by kneading unflavored protein powder directly into your chapati dough, you fortify the bread invisibly. Plus, here's a fantastic culinary bonus. The extra protein actually results in beautiful browning on your chapatis, thanks to the Maillard reaction. For tweak 4, simply toss some soy chunks, or tempeh, into your vegetable sabzi. Soy chunks are a total nutritional powerhouse, packing nearly 50% protein by try weight. And for a quick evening snack, we've got tweak 5. We all love a good spread on our toast, but mayonnaise is basically entirely fat. Instead, take some paneer or tofu, add a pinch of salt and your favorite spices, and just pureate it. You instantly get this rich, creamy, high-protein spread that tastes incredible and actually fuels your body. Let's pull all of this together in Section 6, a sample daily menu. Consider this your completely new blueprint. Notice what's missing here. There are no miserable, chalky diet bars. There's no forcing yourself to eat bland, boiled chicken. And there's definitely no giving up the foods you grew up with. It is the exact same traditional thali you know and love. Dosa for breakfast, sabzi, chapati, and raita for lunch. But by strategically using top-tier ingredients, like unflavored powders and soy chunks, the entire meal is invisibly supercharged to meet your biological needs without overhauling your life. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is please don't overthink this. Every single extra gram of protein you manage to sneak into your diet is going to materially improve your daily energy, your physical health, and your overall quality of life. Just look back at the simple tweaks from this explainer, pick just one to try today, and take a massive, delicious step toward a healthier you. So which simple protein tweak are you going to add to your thali today? I'm so glad we could explore this together, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.